Hello students, I am Dr. Ashish Kumar Suri. Welcome to the revision summary part 3 of unit 8 of management. Today we will cover topic hypothesis. Hypothesis and hypothesis testing. You can expect 1 to 2 questions from this topic and the expected marks will be 1 to 2 because each question is of 1 mark. The difficulty level will vary from moderate to difficult. Okay, so there are certain important topics in this chapter. In this part, I will recommend you when we will cover these topics. So, what is hypothesis? A statistical hypothesis is an assumption about a certain statement of a population parameter which may be true or which may be untrue and which is accepted or rejected after testing on the basis of evidence from a random sample. So what we are doing, as we have seen in the last part, that we, rather than considering the entire population, we are just considering a part of the population which we called as sample. Okay. Now we have taken certain assumptions about the population parameter. These assumptions may be true, but these may be untrue also. So what we need to check? We need to check about the about these assumptions, whether they are true or they are untrue. So that's what the process is, what known as hypothesis testing, and the assumptions are known as hypothesis. So hypothesis is basically an assumption about a quantity statement of population parameter. This may be true, this may be untrue also. We can conclude whether it is true or untrue only after the testing of hypothesis. So the hypothesis may not be proved absolutely, but in practice it is accepted if it has withstood a critical testing. हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि जो हमने hypothesis form की है वो बिल्कुल सही है, but based on certain testing we can accept the hypothesis or we can consider that what we have assumed is true. It is always possible that the value of statistics differ from the assumed value. Statistics is the value of sample. Okay, we have taken we have done this in the last revision part. If the difference is too small, there is a likelihood that guessed or hypothesis value is correct. If the difference between the statistics and the assumed value is very small, then what we can say that the guess or the hypothesis value is correct and we will accept the hypothesis. But if this difference is too high, then the hypothesis may be incorrect and we will not accept it, we will reject it. There are certain characteristics of a hypothesis. A hypothesis needs to be clear, precise and simple and specific. Hypothesis should be capable of being tested because we have to check the validity of the hypothesis, whether it is true or not. So it should be capable of being tested. There are various types of tests that we will discuss in the later part of this video. Hypothesis should state relationship between variables if it happens to be relational hypothesis. Whatever variable we are considering, there must be a relationship which must be stated in the hypothesis between the variables. Hypothesis should be limited in scope. It should not be too wide. It should be limited in scope. Hypothesis should be consistent with most known facts. Hypothesis should be amenable to testing within a reasonable time. Within a reasonable time, we should be capable of testing the hypothesis. Otherwise, its validity will mark a question. Hypothesis must explain the facts that gave rise to the need for the explanation. So, there must be the outcome of the hypothesis must explain what we have assumed before forming the hypothesis. Now there are two types of hypothesis. One is null hypothesis, another is alternate hypothesis. Okay, what are these two? A hypothesis stated in the hope of being rejected with sample data is called null hypothesis. वो hypothesis जिसको हम reject करना चाहते हैं उसे हम null hypothesis बोलते हैं. What we state in this hypothesis, it states that there is no significant difference. It states that there is no significant difference between the specified population and sample parameters. This part is important, that there is no significant difference between the specified population and sample parameters. The null hypothesis is generally assumed to be true until evidence indicates otherwise. जब तक हमें ऐसे strong evidence नहीं मिल जाते जिससे कि हम hypothesis को reject कर सकें, हम इसको true मानेंगे. We will assume it to be true. It is denoted by H naught. The null hypothesis is always denoted by the symbol H naught. Null hypothesis should always be specific hypothesis. It should be very specific. The statement should be very clear that what we are assuming. That is, it should not state approximately value. There should not be there should be no approximations in the null hypothesis. If our sample results do not support null hypothesis, we conclude that something else is true. So if there are no evidence for the in favor of the null hypothesis, then what we will say that something else is true. But what is true, that is not clear. What something else is true, that we are not concluding, but what we will say that whatever we have assumed in the null hypothesis is not true and something else is true. Now what something else is true, that we are not concluding. Suppose if we want to compare method A with method B about its superiority, and if we proceed on the assumption that both methods are equally good, then this assumption is termed as null hypothesis. So what we are assuming in null hypothesis is that both method A and method B are equal. That is, there is no significant difference between the superiority of method A and method B. So this is what null hypothesis. If the test will be in favor of the null hypothesis, we will accept it. If the test is not in favor, means if there is a significant difference that we will find out from the testing of hypothesis, then we will conclude that they are not equal in terms of their superiority. Now what is true, that we are not sure, but what we have assumed is not true. Okay. Now everything other than null hypothesis is alternate hypothesis. It includes all other possibilities. Alternative hypothesis is contrary to the null hypothesis. In other words, the set of alternatives to the null hypothesis is referred to as alternative hypothesis. So whatever alternative are available to the null hypothesis, means all other possibilities other than the null hypothesis are included in the alternate hypothesis. So it is not a specific hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis is not a specific hypothesis like null hypothesis. It states that there is a statistical significance difference between two variables. What we have assumed in the null hypothesis, that there is no significant difference. Okay. So what alternative hypothesis referred, that it states that there is a statistical significant difference between the two variables. Alternative hypothesis is denoted by HA. Sometimes it is also denoted by H1, but usually it is denoted by HA. So the null hypothesis represents the hypothesis we are trying to reject, while the alternative hypothesis represents all other possibilities. It is usually the one which one wished to prove. So we want to disprove the null hypothesis and we want to prove the alternative hypothesis. Now level of significance. The level of significance, it is denoted by the symbol alpha. Okay. It is the probability of rejecting the null hypothesis when it is true. If we are rejecting the null hypothesis when it is true, then it is termed as level of significance. This means that we are committing a mistake here. If the null hypothesis is true, this means when it must be accepted, then we are rejecting it. So what we are doing, we are committing a mistake here. Okay, so alpha is what? It is the probability of rejecting the null hypothesis when it is true. For example, if significance level, that is alpha, is 5%, this means that out of 100, we would reject 5 cases. Out of 100, there is a possibility of 5 cases. Then we will reject the null hypothesis when it must be accepted. Okay, so we are rejecting the null hypothesis when it must be accepting. So we are committing an error here. Okay, so contrary to alpha, 1 minus alpha is the probability of accepting the true hypothesis, true null hypothesis, and is referred to as confidence level. If alpha is 5%, it means 1 minus alpha is 95%. This means there is a 0.95 probability, or there are 95% chances that we will accept the null hypothesis when it is true. So this means that we are taking the right decision. Okay, so this is also the confidence level. 1 minus alpha is also the confidence level. This means that we are 95% confident that we are accepting the null hypothesis when it is true. Level of significance shows the risk that researcher is willing to take of rejecting the null hypothesis when it happens to be true. So this means that lower is the value of alpha, better are the outcomes of our hypothesis. Say for example, if alpha is 5% in one case and alpha is 1% in another case, this means that in this case there are 5% chances of committing an error. Which error? That we will reject the null hypothesis when it is true. And in this case there is only 1% chance that of committing an error, that we will reject the null hypothesis when it is true. So a lower level of alpha is better, as it shows a higher level of confidence level. In this case confidence level will be 95%, and in this case confidence level will be 99%. So lower value of alpha is always preferred. Now the rejection rules are as follows. If p-value is a measure of probability that an observed difference would have occurred by random chance. Okay, p-value indicates the probability that an observed difference could have occurred by random chance. So this means that lower is the p-value, greater the statistical significance of the observed differences. So if p-value is less than equals to alpha, then reject the null hypothesis H0. But if p-value is greater than level of significance alpha, then do not reject the null hypothesis. Okay, so we will accept it. Now type 1 and type 2 error. So as we have seen that alpha shows error, chances of error. So type 1 error means rejection of hypothesis which should have been accepted, and type 2 error means accepting null hypothesis which should have been rejected. If we are rejecting a null hypothesis, which is actually true, then it is alpha. Okay, this is type 1 error. But if we are accepting the null hypothesis when it must be rejected, when it is not true, then it is type 2 error, denoted by beta. Okay, so type 1 error is denoted by alpha. It is when null hypothesis is rejected when it is true, while type 2 error is denoted by beta. It is accepting a null hypothesis when it is false, when it is not true. Okay, now 1 minus alpha is the confidence interval, that is we are taking the right decision, we are accepting the null hypothesis when it is true. Okay, then if we are rejecting a null hypothesis which is actually false, then also we are taking the right decision, then it is denoted by 1 minus beta. Okay, now one-tailed and two-tailed test. If the rejection region lies on both sides of the acceptance region, for example, if the acceptance region is normally distributed, okay, then if the rejection region lies on both sides, so like this, if these are the rejection regions, then it is two-tailed test. So if the rejection region lies both sides of the acceptance region, then the test is called a two-tailed test. So if the value of alpha is 5%, that is 0.05, a two-tailed test allows half of alpha to testing the statistical significance in one direction and half alpha to testing the statistical significance in the other direction. So the alpha will be 0.025 in this part and 0.025 in this part. This means how 0.025? 0.05 divided by 2. So we get 0.025 here and 0.025 value here. This is two-tailed test. Okay, so we have a probability of rejecting the hypothesis in both the parts. Okay. On the other hand, one-tailed test or one-side test is a test of hypothesis for which region of rejection is wholly located at one end of the distribution of the test. Rejection region is also known as critical region. Okay. So if the critical region or the region of rejection is located at one end of the distribution, then we called it as one-tailed test. Okay. So like this is left one-tailed test or left side one-tailed test, and this is right side one-tailed test. So we have two types of one-tailed test, left side one-tailed test and right side one-tailed test. Here the rejection region lies on the left side, here the rejection region lies on the right side. Okay. Now test of hypothesis. There are two types of the test of various types of tests can be classified under two categories. Now testing of hypothesis means it determines the validity of the assumption. Hypothesis means assumption. Now testing of hypothesis is actually it determines the validity of the assumption, technically described as null hypothesis. Okay, हम कौन सी hypothesis को टेस्ट करते हैं? हम हमेशा null hypothesis को ही टेस्ट करते हैं. हम कभी भी alternate hypothesis को टेस्ट नहीं करते. अगर when we are testing the null hypothesis and if the test does not allows us to accept this null hypothesis, then this means that we are concluding that something else is true. This means we are accepting the alternative hypothesis. With the view to choose between two conflicting hypotheses about the value of population parameter. There are several types of several tests of hypothesis, okay, which can be classified as parametric or standard test and non-parametric or distribution free test. Okay, what are the difference between these two? Parametric test usually assumes certain properties of the parent population. So parametric test assumes some properties of the parent population from which samples are drawn. So these assumptions are like observation come from a normal population, sample size is large, assumption about the population parameters like mean, variance, etc. So if we are taking certain assumptions, then we will use parametric test. If not, we will use non-parametric test. But there are situations when the researcher cannot or does not want to make such assumption. In such situation, researcher can use statistical methods of testing hypothesis which are called non-parametric tests. So when we are not making any assumptions, then we are using the non-parametric test. Such tests do not depend on any assumption about the parameters of the parent population. Okay. So first is Z-test. It is also called large sample test. So what do we mean by large sample? If the size of the sample exceeds 30, so if n sample size is greater than 30, then we refer to it as large sample, and in this case we will use Z-test. It should be regarded as large sample. Z-test is based on the normal probability distribution. Okay, it is based on नॉर्मल प्रोबेबिलिटी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. तो ये हमारा एजम्पशन है कि जो प्रोबेबिलिटी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है वो कैसा है, नॉर्मल है. हमें पता है कि नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कैसा होता है, सिमेट्रिक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. सो अ डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन लाइक दिस इज अ नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. इट इज सिमेट्रिक अबाउट दिस एक्सिस. ओके. So Z-test is generally used for comparing the mean of a sample to some hypothesized mean for the population in case of large sample. So here the hypothesis will be that mu equals to mu naught. Okay, this means that the population mean is equals to, there is no significant difference between the population mean and the sample mean. So this is our null hypothesis in this case. When population variance is known, then we can use Z-test. For judging the significance of difference between means of two independent samples in case of large samples. So this means that the null hypothesis will be that H0 mu1 minus mu2 equals to 0. That is, there is no significant difference between the mean of two independent samples. Here mu1 is the mean of sample 1, mu2 is the mean of sample 2, and these samples are independent samples. Z-test is also used for comparing the sample proportion to a theoretical value of population proportion. This means the null hypothesis will be H0 P equals to pi, where P is the population proportion and pi is the mean proportion, sample proportion. For judging the difference in proportion of two independent samples drawn when n happens to be large. So in this case, the null hypothesis will be that mu1 equals pi 1 equals to pi 2. Okay. This test may be used for judging the significance of median, mode, coefficient of correlation and several other measures. T-test. If sample size is small, that is when n is less than or equals to 30, then we call it as a small sample. So T-test is used in case of small sample, and if the original population is normally distributed and the standard deviation of the population is unknown, then sample statistics will follow a T distribution. T distribution was first used by W.S. Gosset. So he was the first one to use T distribution. It is also known as student T distribution because W.S. Gosset published this published his research with the name of with his pen name of student. So this is also known as student T distribution. T distribution is defined in terms of degrees of freedom denoted by Greek letter nu. Nu is the degree of freedom. It is the total number of observations minus the number of independent constraints imposed on the observation. This point is important. Please remember this. There are several properties of T distribution. T distribution ranges from minus infinity to infinity. All these properties are very important. Question may come from these properties. Okay. The T distribution, like the standard normal distribution, is a bell-shaped and symmetrical about mean zero. So like normal distribution, T distribution is also bell-shaped. The shape of T distribution changes as the number of degree of freedom changes. So T distribution will take different shapes based on different degrees of freedom. Therefore, for different degrees of freedom, T distribution has a family of T distributions. Hence, the degree of freedom nu is a parameter. So degree of freedom is the parameter of T distribution. The variance of T distribution is always greater than 1 and is defined only when nu, that is degree of freedom, is greater than or equal to 3. The T distribution is more of platykurtic. This means that less peaked at the center and higher in the tails. I will show you the diagram in next PPT. Then the normal distribution. So as compared to normal distribution, T distribution is more platykurtic. Okay. The T distribution has a greater dispersion than standard normal distribution. As n gets larger, the T distribution approaches the normal form. So जैसे से n का वैल्यू बढ़ता जाएगा, T distribution normal distribution को approach करेगा. So you can see the difference between this curve is standard normal distribution, okay, and these curves are T distribution. So you can see that these curves, this curve and this curve, they are more platykurtic. They are less peaked at the center and more at the end parts, okay. So they are more platykurtic as compared to standard normal distribution curve, okay. These are the applications of T distribution. Test of hypothesis about population mean, Test of hypothesis about difference between two means. Test of hypothesis about the difference between two means with dependent samples, and test of hypothesis about coefficient of correlation. In such cases, we can use T distribution. Now third is F distribution. The F distribution is named in the honor of R.A. Fisher, who first studied this distribution in 1924. This distribution is usually defined in terms of the ratio of variance of two normal distributions. So we are considering two normal distribution and we are taking the ratio of variances. Now variance is the square of standard deviation. So this is standard deviation. The square of standard deviation will be variance. Okay. So the quantity S1 square upon sigma 1 square divided by S2 square upon sigma 2 square is distributed as F distribution with 2 degrees of freedom. Nu1 equals to N1 minus 1. Here N1 is the sample size of first sample, and Nu2 equals to N2 minus 2, where N2 is the sample size of second sample. Okay. So these are the degrees of freedom. If sigma 1 square is equal to sigma 2 square, then F reduces to S1 square divided by S2 square. Here S1 square is the variance of first sample, S2 square is the variance of second sample. Sigma 1 square is the variance of first population, sigma 2 square is the variance of second population. So it follows F distribution with degrees of freedom N minus 1 and N1 minus 1 and N2 minus 2. So F distribution has 2 degrees of freedom. Nu1 equals to N1 minus 1, Nu2 equals to N2 minus 1. The F distribution sometimes also called variance ratio distribution. Remember it is sometimes also called variance ratio distribution. The F distribution depends on the degrees of freedom N1 for numerator and N2 for denominator. Therefore, the parameter of F distribution, it has two parameters, Nu1 and Nu2. Remember this, okay? This is important. Some of the important properties of F distribution are as follows. The F distribution is positively skewed. F distribution is which type of skewness? It shows positive skewness, okay? Now, positive skewness, by positive skewness, what do we mean? If the distribution is like this, okay? So this value will be the modal value, okay? Here will we have mean value, and in between them we will have median value. So this is positively skewed data. So F distribution has a shape something like this. It is positively skewed. Remember this. Its skewness increases with increase in mu1 and mu2. As degrees of freedom increases, the skewness means departure from symmetricity. So it will be more positively skewed with increase in the value of mu1 and mu2. The value of F must always be positive or 0. It will not acquire any negative value because it is the ratio of two square values. F equals to S1 square divided by S2 square. As square values can never be negative, so F का value कभी भी negative नहीं हो सकता, 0 या positive ही होगा. Its value will lie between 0 and infinite. The mean of the F distribution is mu2 divided by minus mu2 minus 2 for mu2 greater than 2, and variance is this value for mu2 greater than 4. The shape of F distribution depends upon the number of degrees of freedom. Okay, as the degrees of freedom mu1 and mu2 will change, the shape of F distribution will also change. Now chi-square test, it is a non-parametric distribution free test. Okay, since in this case we make no assumption about distribution of parent population, this quantity is called chi-square. It is represented by this quantity which is called chi-square. With the help of chi-square test, we can know whether a given discrepancy, means difference between theoretical value and observed value, can be attributed to chance or whether it results from the inadequacy of the theory to fit the observed factors. If chi-square is 0, if the value of chi-square is 0, it means that the observed and expected frequency completely coincide. That is, there is no difference between them. The greater the value of chi-square, the greater would be the discrepancy between the observed and the expected frequencies. The formula of chi-square is this. Chi-square is summation O, here O is observed frequency, E is expected frequency. O minus E whole square, summation of O minus E square divided by E. So what we will do, we will find out the observed frequency. We will subtract from it the expected frequency. We will take the square of this. Then we will divide it by expected frequency, and we will do it for all values, and then we will take the summation of that. So it is summation of this quantity. Fine. O is observed frequency, E is expected or theoretical frequency. The calculated value of chi-square is compared with the tabular value of chi-square. So we have a table of chi-square values for given degrees of freedom at specified level of significance. So we will assume a particular significance level alpha. Okay, then for given degrees of freedom, we will look at the value of chi-square for the given value of alpha in the chi-square table. Now what will be the decision? If the calculated value of chi-square is, this means this value is greater than the tabular value, the difference between the theoretical and observation is considered to be significant. If the calculated value is greater than the tabular value, then there is a significant difference. Hence, we will reject the null hypothesis. That is, it could not have arisen due to fluctuation of simple sampling. But if the calculated value of chi-square is less than the table value, it means that there is no significance difference between theory and observation. Okay, so we will accept the null hypothesis. These are the assumptions of chi-square. Please remember all these assumptions. These are important. Question may come on this. We are considering random sample, independent observation for the sample, all expected counts greater than 0, and not more than 20% of cells with an expect count less than 5. These are the applications of chi-square. Chi-square can be used for testing significance of the sample variance, the goodness of fit for a theoretical distribution, the independence of attribute, and whether the observed results are consistent with the expected result. Now what is test of goodness of fit? This is important. The test of goodness of fit are used when we want to determine whether an actual sample distribution matches a known theoretical distribution. Chi-square test is known as goodness of fit because it enables us to ascertain how well the theoretical distribution, such as like binomial, Poisson or normal, this we have covered in the previous part, etc., fit the empirical distributions, that is those obtained from sample data. While applying the chi-square test of goodness of fit, the null hypothesis usually states, this is important, the null hypothesis usually states that sample is drawn from the theoretical population distribution, and the alternative hypothesis usually states that it is not. Okay. Test of independence, this is also important. One of the most frequent use of chi-square is for testing the null hypothesis that two criteria of classifications are independent from each other. They are independent if the distribution of one criteria in no way depends on the distribution of other criteria. If they are not dependent, then there is an association between the two criteria. If they are not dependent, this means there is some association between them. So they are not dependent. The test will indicate only whether or not any dependency relationship exists between the attributes. So we are just indicating that whether any dependency relationship exists between the two attributes or not, but it will not indicate the degree of association. Okay, we are only concluding whether any dependency relationship exists between the attributes or not. But if any dependency exists, then what is the degree of association or the direction of the dependency? This we are not concluding. Okay, this we are not indicating. So whether the association is positive or negative, this we are not indicating. We are only indicating the whether any dependency is there between the two attributes or not. Chi-square tests of independence are widely used to assess relationship between two independent nominal variables. Now nominal variable is the one that has two or more categories, but there is no intrinsic ordering between these two categories. For example, gender. It has two categories, male and female, but there is no ordering between male and female. If first female should come, or female should come, or next male should come, or first male should come and then female should come. There is no ordering. So this variable gender has two subcategories, male and females and males, but there is no intrinsic ordering between these different categories. So these are nominal variables. Nominal variable association refers to the statistical relationship on nominal variables. Cross tabulation, also known as contingency or bivariate table. So in case of test of independence, we formulate a cross table. Is commonly used to examine the relationship between nominal variable. So we form a cross table in case of test of independence. So what are the conditions of applying chi-square test? The sample observation should be independent, okay, and normally distributed. Again, these conditions are important. For the parent population should be greater than 50, or sampling should be replacement. While applying chi-square distribution in testing of the goodness of fit or in contingencies table, the cell frequency should not be less than 5. The data should be expressed in original units rather than percentage or ratio form. So we should not consider percentages or ratio form. It should be expressed in original units or original values. Sample should be random sample. Okay, what is random sample? That we have seen in the previous videos. Next is analysis of variance or ANOVA. ANOVA is used to test for significance of the difference between more than two sample means. In case of two sample means, we use F distribution, but in case of difference between more than two sample means, we use ANOVA. Okay, so this is the difference between F distribution and analysis of variance or ANOVA. To make inference about whether the sample are drawn from population having the same mean. Okay, so what are the assumptions of ANOVA? Each sample is drawn randomly from a normal population, and the sample statistics tend to reflect the characteristics of the population. The populations from which the samples are drawn have identical mean and variances. This means that the mean, denoted by mu of all populations are equal, and the variance, denoted by sigma square, of all populations are also equal. In case we are not in a position to make these assumptions in particular problem, the analysis of variance technique should not be used. So this technique should be used only in case we are able to make these two assumptions. Otherwise, it should be avoided. So these are some of the examples from previous year's questions. At a given significance level, sample result in the rejection region are called now statistically significant. If the rejection region, that means we are rejecting the null hypothesis. When we will reject the null hypothesis? When there is a significant difference between the two parameters. Okay, so this one is true. Then the rejection region is also called critical region. Okay, so option A and C are correct here. So code 3 is the correct answer in this case. Which of the following statistical technique should be used when you wish to examine the association between two nominal variables? We have already seen that in case of chi-square test, we use chi-square test is used in case of two nominal variables. So the correct answer is option number 3, chi-square contingency test. Which of the following statements relating to test of hypothesis are correct? Select the correct code. We have to identify the correct statements. Statement 1. Type 1 error occurs when true null hypothesis gets rejected by the test. This is true. Type 1 error is denoted by alpha, and it was what? It was the chances that we will reject the null hypothesis when it is true. So statement 1 is true. Beta value denotes the power of the test. No, it is false. Beta was the measure of type 2 error. That is, we will accept the null hypothesis when it is false, when we should reject it. So beta is not the value of which denote the power of test. Rather, the power of test, I will tell you this also, the power of test is indicated by 1 minus beta. 1 minus beta. That is, power of test is the probability of not committing a type 2 error. Type 2 error is denoted by beta. Okay, so the probability of not committing a type 2 error will be 1 minus beta. So power of test is actually 1 minus beta. Please remember this. To test the significance of goodness of fit of a distribution, F test is applied. This is also wrong. We use chi-square test to test the significance of goodness of fit. This we have already seen in the presentation in this video. When the null hypothesis mu m is greater than mu f, two-tailed test is applied for testing the hypothesis. This is wrong. A two-tailed test means when we have chances of rejecting the hypothesis in both the region. When we are taking the hypothesis that when there is no significant difference between the population mean and the sample mean, if the null hypothesis is such that there is no significant difference between the population mean and the sample mean, that this means that there are chances that the population mean may be either greater than sample mean or it may be less than sample mean. So in such case, we applied two-tailed test when we have chances to reject the hypothesis in both parts. Okay, in such case we will use the two-tailed test. In case of this condition, we will use one-tailed test only, because in such a case the chances of rejection lies only in the one part of the distribution. So statement 4 is also wrong. The critical value of Z statistic for a two-tailed test at 5% level of significance is 1.96. This you should remember, that Z at alpha equals to 0.05 for two-tailed test. Okay, so in such case the value of Z will be, for two-tailed test, 0.025. So value of Z will be 1.96. This you should remember. So statement 5 is correct, statement 1 is correct. The correct option is code 3. So students, if you are preparing for IIT, JAM, CSIR, NET and NTGC NET, then you can buy the study material from Edunkle. You can also download the app of Edunkle from your Google Play Store. There you will find the support of more than 250 faculties for your queries. Thank you very much.